Hey everyone, welcome to the PRS Fit Education Center and the Coach's Lab. This is going to be my first in a talk of effort-based training and how effort-based training affects runners, triathletes, and ultra runners. And the first phase of effort-based training is establishing that base. You hear us talk about base training all the time and how important it is to you down the road. And the bigger the base, the higher the peak. You know, I've kind of illustrated that with our three pyramids, and each of these pyramids represent a full training cycle. Over here, my first pyramid is 14 inches, and it represents a 14-week training cycle. And you can see the height of the peak of that training cycle. Now, for me, I think 14 weeks, for 98% of the athletes out there, is a little bit too short of a time to develop a strong aerobic engine and then platforming and the next phases of your training on top of it. Over here I have a 16-week training program, and in that 16-week training program, although the peak is a bit higher, for me again, I don't think there's enough time spent in the base or the aerobic building phase of that training program. Lastly, this is a 24-week pyramid, and you can see the difference in the peak. We have a huge structural base in this training platform that allows you to build slowly and condition the body for every level of training that's going to follow. Look, one of the things you always need to keep in mind is you can only run as fast as your slowest body part. And base training develops the body for every phase of training that comes after that. The other thing that base training does for you, it helps you develop more mitochondria and more capillaries. How do mitochondria and capillaries affect your body? Mitochondria are the little energy cells that help your muscles perform. Your body needs a lot of these energy cells just to maintain muscular structure, posture, and movement. So as you're developing a big aerobic base, you start to develop more mitochondria. Capillaries are the smallest veins in the body that carry oxygenated blood to your muscles. So again, you're enhancing your body's performance over this aerobic-based training phase as you develop more capillaries in your body. And as you can see, in the non-endurance phase of someone's life, this is basically a picture of how many mitochondria and capillaries are in the body. And then you go over here, after an endurance-based training phase, you can see how those numbers are increased. This translates into longer and stronger throughout your training cycle and on race day. So the last thing to keep in mind as we're developing this aerobic base, and we're going to talk more about this in the next couple of episodes, but the more base you have, obviously, the stronger you get going on. The important part is doing aerobic base training, and when you're doing the very easy and the easy effort base runs, keep in mind, you're not running so slow that you don't feel like you've had a workout. You're running aerobically. You're always staying aerobic down in the base training zones. However, at the end of those workouts, you should feel like you've had a bit of a workout, but a workout you can recover from quickly. So there's step number one in building that effort-based training plan. And we'll be back in a week with step number two. As always, be healthy, train smart, have fun. This is the coach. Have a great day.